Hello and welcome back to the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast. Today I have Matt here with me. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, Rand. Hey, everybody.
And we're here to chat about what you patrons voted for as January's topic, the Firmament / the Obsidian. So today we're talking about the Firmament. Tune in next time for a breakdown on the Obsidian. Matt and I both played the Firmament / the Obsidian once. Matt, how'd you feel about it? How was your experience?
Well, let's see. So it's definitely a very cool concept. Like, I love the idea of, you have like one faction and then it switches to something else. The actual faction itself, I didn't find to be. I mean, it's a cool concept. Like, the idea of like puppeting other players and making them your stooges is really fun. But it definitely is somewhat more of, I think, a difficult faction to play and a little bit hard to get value out of.
Yeah, I totally see that, and I'm glad stooging is canon now. It's officially in the rules. Sometimes you gotta stooge. It's great. Actually, when I played this faction, I never purged and flipped to the Obsidian. I got really close to the win without it, and I needed to meme. I needed to win without doing the whole thing. I lost, but I definitely need to play them again because I only got half the experience.
Yeah, they're definitely, I think, worth playing at least once. It's definitely, like I said, it's a fun concept. It's kind of an interesting challenge, and they have some pretty like unique abilities, and they play definitely in a pretty unique way that I think is pretty different from a lot of other factions. So I think it's worth it for that alone.
Yes, I totally agree with that. So let's talk about their mechanics a little bit.
Yeah, the Firmament, I think, is sort of set up to be a faction that's supposed to kind of build up over time, and kind of as a result, they have their starting fleet is a little questionable. Because they start with one carrier, one cruiser, one destroyer, 3 fighters, 3 infantry, and 1 space dock. So you start out with one unit that has capacity. You do at least have 3 infantry, so that's good. So if you have a 3-planet system next to your home system, you can kind of go out and fill that out, and that at least gives you a start. But I think one of the biggest weaknesses of this faction is, they've got the situation where they only have 1 unit with capacity, and they don't really have other ways of really solving how to get more planets or stall in like a round 1 to be able to follow warfare. Just like with Extra, they've got their ability where they can kind of like take a planet off the secondary at Diplo, and they've got the stall to kind of ready a planet. Arborek has the agent that lets them turn like a cruiser or something into a carrier, and that helps them get a little bit more capacity out. And like Nalu, for example, they've got that really great agent that lets them kind of like move twice, or that you can activate a system and have it unlocked, and so still kind of like move out and take territory, even if you're not leaving infantry there. But with the Obsidian, or with the Firmament rather, you really have this problem of only having 1 carrier, and they don't give you any real tools to solve that.
Yeah, the warfare timing is very important. You're gonna want to be buddy with that player, or the workaround is taking warfare if there's not a better option. Especially with the new warfare, you can just play it first action. Everyone else is kind of hosed unless they'd moved out already and have the money to follow. But that is a workaround. But very true, not the most ideal start, and also not the juiciest home planets.
No, they've got a 2-1 Kronos and a 1-2 Talon. So another kind of problem there is that already kind of isn't enough to either follow tech, or it's not even enough to be able to buy a second carrier and 2 more infantry. So it's you're kind of like sort of having a sort of a rough start, which is something to consider with this faction. Because if you're looking for something where you're having a nice guaranteed round 1. This is not the faction for you.
Totally see that. Things can align well, depending on the map build, what's in front of you, when the timings are, but it takes a lot more, falling into place than some other factions would need. Starting tech, you choose a green or yellow that has no prereqs, which is pretty cool because both their faction techs require green or yellow. Matt, did you end up researching either of their faction techs in your game?
I did not actually know. The two faction techs are Plane Splitter, which is the tech says when you gain this card, put the Fracture into play and flip it if the Obsidian is in play. So it basically just unlocks the Fracture immediately. I didn't really get to a point where I was going to unlock that before the Fracture was going to come into play either, because it was our first Thunder's Edge game. Everybody wanted to get all their new breakthroughs and mechanics and stuff, and so that didn't end up really being a goal for anyone. And then the other tech is Neural Parasite, which at the start of the status phase, you may place one infantry from reinforcements on a planet you control in your home system, and then flip if the Obsidian faction is in play. And that one, that just sort of seems like, you're having to go two green deep to get the Arborek ability that no one remembers to do. So I was like, I don't know if I necessarily... That'd be hard if I researched 2 techs in and for an ability that I don't even remember to do. So I was like, yeah, I don't think we're going for that either. So I think if I recall correctly, I think I just went the sort of standard vanilla blue up to light wave kind of a route.
That totally makes sense. Their faction abilities are basically to get yourself some players to puppet. So you get to score other players' secret objectives. This is their faction ability called Plots Within Plots, but you don't actually get a point for it. They don't count against your secret limit. You just put your token on there and you get a plot card and you put that player's control token on it. And now they are your puppet. Basically, this ability kind of comes into play when you end up flipping to the Obsidian. You need to have at least one plot card in your play area, and then you can go Obsidian at any point.
Yep, the next one is Puppets of the Blade. If you have at least one plot card in your play area, gain the following ability: Action, purge the Firmament faction sheet leaders, planet cards, and promissory note, and then gain all the faction components for the Obsidian. So it is a stall technically, so that's kind of nice.
All this show just for one little itty bitty stall.
Hey, sometimes you really need a stall. So having a stall is always nice. Yeah, we always like factions in this game that give you the ability to not do anything for one turn.
Totally. Their faction promissory note is interesting because it's used once and purged, but you could get a puppet out of it. And you give someone a pretty big boost of 2 command tokens and 2 trade goods. So, it's good incentive for someone who really needs a token, someone who's just a little bit short on money for scoring or building or whatnot. And it's an easy way to get a plot card out.
I love this promissory note, honestly. It's... I like the idea of offering a player a deal that's too good to be true that may come back to bite them in the ass later. That's a really fun mechanic. I really like that. I wish they had more components that were like this where you could offer the desperate player something that fixes all of their problems in the short term, but long term has bad consequences for them or maybe the table. This is I think a really fun component to have where you can give somebody this, and they get the 2 command tokens, they get the 2 trade goods, and then you get to get a little something later on.
Yeah, it's great.
It makes somebody your stooge, and that's always fun in this game. You always want to have a stooge, and you always want to look at the table and see if you're at a table and you see 5 other players and you don't see a stooge, you're probably the stooge. So
yep,
you want to. This helps you avoid that fate.
Get ahead of stooging by getting your own stooges.
Mm-hmm.
So the plot cards, should we go through them, Matt? There's some fun stuff in there.
I think so.
You didn't manage to get that many out in your game. I remember you had a little bit of a flop situation with the secrets.
Yeah, what's kind of tough about this is it is somewhat difficult to get these plot cards out. You are kind of guaranteed at least 2 of them, because one is your promissory note, and that's something where it's it's 2 command goods or 2 command goods, two trade goods and 2 command tokens, and that's honestly a really good deal, especially in an early round. So that's you can find a stooge for that. I'll take that deal any day. If Obsidian is offering that to me, yeah, sure, I'll be your stooge for 2 tokes and 2 trade goods. I'm cheap like that. I don't know standards. But and then the hero for the Firmament also lets you get another one out. But in order to get the rest of these out, you need to score other people's secrets, and that's kind of tricky, especially when, as Rand mentioned, you're in a game where no one is scoring. Like I was like my first game playing them, I think nobody besides me scored a secret for like 2 or 3 rounds, and I was looking around the table. I'm like really, like nobody is scoring. Like I can't get any of these plot cards out. Like I was very disappointed, and so that's part of it, is you're sort of limited by how many secrets the table is scoring to get these out, and you're also limited by, okay, you need to like score secrets that don't get you points while you're also trying to get points and trying to score your own secrets that don't get you points. So that's kind of tricky as well.
Yeah, you are adding a whole other layer of like what to calculate for and account for, unless like secrets are falling into your lap, like strengthened bonds or something. You could almost forget about your own scoring, like doing this. So it requires definitely a balance and some like consciousness of what's going on and what's actually achievable or what's the priority.
Yeah, no, definitely agreed. It's very, I think it's very much a case of you gotta really look at these and think about, like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Kind of knowing that you can get 2 out fairly easily. You know, what else is worth getting out before you flip to form the Obsidian?
Yeah. So there are 5 of them. The first one lets you perform the secondary abilities of the puppeted player's strategy cards without spending command tokens. And if it's leadership, you do the primary instead. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that one's pretty awesome. And I guess kind of something to mention with these plot cards as well is you don't get these abilities until you flip to form the Obsidian. So that's I think a pretty big factor in this, because you want to kind of balance getting them out fast, but also you have to kind of weigh, like, okay, is it worth it trying to get another plot card out this round, or like flip early to take advantage of some of these abilities earlier? So that's something that's sort of tricky to balance as well. But yeah, that one's called Enervate. That one's really good. And then I think the next one is called Siphon. It says when the puppeted player gains commodities, you gain an equal number of trade goods. Like, yeah, if there's a Hakan in the game, this is juicy.
Yeah. This could really, really stack up over the course of a game. Like you said, if you do end up flipping early for some reason, this could really add up. And yeah, I totally agree with what you were saying about finding that balance between how many plot cards I get out versus is it time to flip to start taking advantage of these? Because if you wait too long, it's pretty much useless. Like in my game, I waited too long. What was the point of flipping in the last round when I was had a path to win as the Firmament? I'm sure I missed out on value for the memes, but you know.
Yeah, what's the point of having stooges if you can't let them stooge for you?
Exactly. I don't know. They were useless stooges in that game. Next plot card, Seethe. So this basically, when this card is revealed, you destroy all units on a non-home planet controlled by the puppeted player. After that, you destroy one of their infantry at the start of each status phase. So, yep, it's a little bit of a nasty one, because it's not just you gaining, you are hosing. In fact, you don't gain anything, it's just hosing, which, I mean, I guess we all gain from another person's hosings.
Yeah, you gain salt points, which are the real points in TI. There's always, at the end of a game of TI, there's always the scoreboard, and then there's the salt board.
And there's the style points. Okay, Matt, I go for the style points. You go for the salt points. Not all of us are like that, you know. Some of us have class, I must say.
Who are you to say this, Rand? You definitely go for salt points. You enjoy salting it. You enjoy salt probably the most of all of us.
All right, you're right.
I have seen you like take an entire flagship, necro flagship, whole strike force to invade Nathan, who was on the other side of the board just because you wanted to hose him.
That sounds like style points to me, but
That's salt points.
Yeah.
You salted him down.
Tomato.
You salted him down.
So Seethe, great for salt points. Amazing. Get that out there if you're looking for a salty game.
Yep.
And the next one is Assail, which gives you +1 to the results of each of your combat rolls and unit ability rolls against the puppeted player. So it's pretty sweet because it helps with secret scoring in a sense. If you have like a PDS, a space cannon secret, or a AFB secret, or just a fighty secret, this +1 is pretty nice, and I'm about it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a bad thing to have, especially if you have a player you've been beefing with a lot, and this is something that lets you get a little bit of an advantage on them. It is kind of like weak in the sense in that it only works against that one player. So I guess if you're kind of in a situation where you're sort of having this forever war with your neighbor and you really kind of need that helps you. But I think it's definitely one of the weaker plot cards that are out here.
Yeah, fair. Sardak gets their +1 across the board, but not unit abilities. And this plot card could also be a deterrent. It could be just a defensive plot card of the puppeted player not wanting to come into your space because it's just more of a pain to get through things. And our last plot card is Extract. Once the card's revealed, you gain a non-faction tech owned by the puppeted player. And whenever they gain a non-faction technology, you can spend 4 resources to gain that tech. So this one is pretty dank. You get a lot of tech off of this, which can be game-changing.
Yeah, no, that's definitely nice. Like, definitely, even with all the changes in Thunder's Edge, tech is still pretty limiting. So the idea that you just get like a tech for free is great, and the opportunity to get more chances to get technology is great as well. And also, it's whenever they research technology, you can spend 4 resources to gain that tech. So if for example, like you're going like deep green or something, and you've puppeted somebody and they research Lightwave, you can just gain Lightwave off of them. So if there's like a Jolnar in this game, or like someone who's kind of going down, who's like probably like going to go down a tech path that will have techs that you want, I mean, this is a useful one to get out as well.
Oh yeah, to extract on Jolnar sounds very sweet. Also, the puppeted player having the tech strategy card is nice because you get 2 opportunities to gain tech. That's so good for catching up on objectives. Yeah, like you said, Jolnar is amazing because they always get 2 techs off of technology. So that is just, it's raining tech.
Or imagine this, because it says when the puppeted player gains, you could also puppet Necro. Ooh. And get in on that Necro buffet.
That is actually intense. I love that a lot, and I want to see that. Even if I am the Necro, I would like to be extracted upon.
Yep. I wonder if that works on like Alliance mode, where you could have you could puppet your Necro buddy and just chow down on the buffet that they're eating on as well.
Oh, yeah. I imagine that could be possible. And spicy. Oh my gosh. Oh, the new combinations are unhinged.
Yeah, that'd be fun and spicy.
So those are their plot cards. Their breakthrough, the sewing. You gain this card, and at the start of the status phase, you can place up to 3 of your trade goods on this card. And then when you flip it after you become the Obsidian, you double them. So it's an investment in your future. It's the sewing. It is a little bit tricky, I found in my game, because you do have to spend that money. But if you have an abundance, and if you are like me and you are permanently paranoid about economic equality, it's a great investment of trade goods.
Yeah, this breakthrough is, I honestly find it pretty disappointing, because I invested the 5 resources to get the breakthrough in the game that I played, and I was like, okay, like, because I had misread, I thought that it just like gives you, or just sort of like adds up 3 trade goods that you don't have to like put in, that you then get double when you flip. I was like, okay, this is kind of a expensive investment now, and but I'll get like value off of it later. And then I reread the text after I'd spent the 5 resources and realized I had like put money on there, and I was just like, oh no, this is pretty expensive for what is going to be required here, because it's you think about it, it's like if you're spending 5 resources to get this breakthrough, and then you're putting 3 trade goods on there, you've just kind of put in 8 resources. That has you don't even get the 3 that you put in for the first round. That doesn't even really cover the 5 resources that you invested to get the breakthrough in the first place. So unless you're doing that to get access to the fracture, it's just kind of a hard sell, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see that. Totally see that. I guess maybe something that makes up for it is the synergy, which is green, yellow, and those are, as we said, the faction techs. So that's kind of nice, but I totally agree, Matt. Especially if it's a poor game like the sowing. I mean, you reap what you sow, and if you don't sow, you don't reap, and if you can't sow, you can't reap.
Yeah, pretty much. It'd be nice if there was like some way where this worked, where you could like, I don't know, siphon money off your stooges or something. That'd be fun, but you got to use your own money. What's even the point of having stooges if you can't scam them?
They're the best targets of our scams.
Right.
All right, their flagship, Heaven's Eye. Basically, if you have a stooge, you're activating a system that has your stooge's units. You can get +1 to the ship's move value, and you repair it at the end of every round of combat.
Yeah, I mean it helps you against your stooges. It's the rest of the abilities of Flagship are pretty vanilla. It's 8 cost, 205, move 1. So yeah, I mean with that extra ability, you get a +1, so you get kind of a sort of a free gravity drive on the ship. If you're going after one of your stooges, and you get the kind of repair at the end of every combat round. I'm always paranoid about sustaining flagships and there being a direct hit out there. So that's, yeah, I mean it's useful, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like the extra bits you get on top of like a regular sort of vanilla flagship is kind of really targeted at your stooges and if you've got your plot cards out.
Absolutely. What I like most about it is that it can lead to some crazy movement stacking. If you have gravity drive, if you have flank speed, if ether streams out there, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's like 5 movement on the ship, which I guess some factions can get, such as Yusarl, who start with 2 movement, or upgrade Nomad flagship. But I'm glad there's a third flagship out there now that can move 5 under extreme circumstances.
Yep. Yeah, no, more movement is always fun.
They're mechs, so when ground forces are committed to planets with their mechs, you may choose for your units to coexist if they were not already. That is pretty sweet because you don't have to lose planets that you need for scoring. So that's actually pretty powerful. Some things just are much harder to take now.
Yeah, I mean it's that aspect of it is kind of nice. You can kind of like drop some forces onto a planet, have them coexist, and be able to like score and get value off of that without actually like pissing somebody off and having to take it from them. So that's kind of nice.
Their agent actually is pretty sweet and, shall we say, better than the Obsidian version's agent.
I would agree. Yeah, no, the agent is really cool. The ability says when a player moves ships, you may exhaust this card. If you do, Space Cannon cannot be used against those ships. If they are not transporting units, so they can move through other players' ships. So that's really nice. That's kind of like you get some Space Cannon nullification, which is great against like an Exja or a Titans
Jolnar,
or
just everything.
Jolnar.
Oh my gosh, game changing.
So that can. So as far as like the value that has against those factions in the later game. And as far as the value of like providing kind of a sort of free light wave to move through other players' ships, especially in combination with the commander, like this is a pretty good agent. I think my main criticism of this is something that you lose when you flip over to the Obsidian, because I'd argue that this is kind of more of a ability that helps you in the late game when you're trying to like score objectives and slight people and do a whole lot of like scoring and hosing. And if you flip to the Obsidian, then you've kind of just lost this, because yeah, this really isn't going to help you in like a round 1, probably not a round 2 either, and and if you're trying to take advantage of your plot cards early, you may be flipping Obsidian like round 3 or maybe round 2 even.
Very true. It's the cost of getting all those cool plot cards, and I guess the consolation prize of not flipping is you keep this agent for longer. So if you are struggling in the plot card department, I guess there's a silver lining, maybe?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think another good reason to not flip actually is the commander, where the unlock is have 1 plot card in play, and the text says you may treat planets and systems that contain your ships as if you controlled them for the purpose of scoring secret objectives. Like this is incredibly good in like a round 5 situation, which is sort of what pisses me off about it being part of the Firmament kit, because the fact that you lose it is a little frustrating.
I love the art on this commander. Pretty cool, like lion-esque. What is this? Is like a SAR? Yeah, probably a SAR commander.
Yeah, this is a SAR who's embraced the dark side.
Yeah. Their hero. This is fun because you can have 2 heroes in one game, because you can use the Firmament hero and then you get your Obsidian hero. So for your hero, as Matt mentioned earlier, you place a plot card in play and you put any other player's control token on it. And then you may place any player's control token on one of your in-play plot cards, but one plot card cannot have two of the same player's token. So basically, you can double up on a plot card through this hero, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's great for this faction in that you really, this helps you get another plot card out for free, and you also get another hero. So I think yeah, it's a good hero, and you want to use it as soon as possible to get more Stooges.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess one thing to kind of talk about a little bit is sort of the difficulty of sort of figuring out when you flip over to the Obsidian, because I think one of the unfortunate things about this faction is there's sort of components here that encourage you to flip early, and there's some components that kind of encourage you to flip later. Like for a lot of the plot cards, like the one that lets you follow secondaries, the one that to set you up with tech, the one that where you want to gain commodities, those kind of encourage you to sort of flip as early as possible. Whereas like the plot card where that has you destroy all their units on an unhome planet, that sort of indicates you want to, like, if you want to take advantage of that, you need to sort of like flip when that's convenient. Same thing with the mechs. You're kind of like, if you want to take advantage of the mech ability that synergizes with flipping the faction, you want to kind of flip when that's convenient for you. And then if you want to take advantage of the agent and commander in the late game, you want to flip as late as possible. So that I think is sort of something that's sort of difficult with this faction, and so you're gonna have to think about kind of when you're going to flip and when that's going to make sense, and sort of stick to a plan of how you're going to use the components, because if you kind of get stuck in the analysis paralysis of like, oh well, I get this, and if I flip now I get this, but if I flip later I get that, and you don't really have a plan for when you're going to do that, I think it's going to be hard for you to flip that at a right time. I think you need to kind of figure out what you're going to do early on as far as when you're going to flip and what you're going to flip for, and kind of commit to that.
Yeah, the analysis paralysis is real. Or if you're going to flip. Yeah, totally see that. It seems like the biggest decision you make in a game when you're playing this faction. But also, that pressure is not helping. So we can just pretend it's all chill and you'll be okay no matter what happens. And good luck, GG's, have fun. Once you have the Stooges you're happy with, you flip into the Obsidian. And that is what we're going to talk about next time. Thanks for tuning into this one. Come back next time and see what the dealio is with the Obsidian.